At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Some matches are temporary, but your privacy shouldn't be. With Line 2, you get a second phone line just for dating. No need to share your personal number until you're ready. You can chat, text, and even block numbers, all while keeping things fun and private. It's perfect for online dating, blind dates, or just keeping things light. When you're ready to move on, Line 2 lets you cut ties without any drama. Dating should be fun and carefree. Line 2 keeps it that way. Ready to date on your terms? Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store today.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to or during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
And the wolf is at your door. Your running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, no matter by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
Warning, this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, may contain descriptions of acts of violence or that of a sexual nature and should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts I'm retelling you were presented to me by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My descriptions of the crime scenes, what I saw with my own two eyes. If you're going to get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And I am Cyndi Overton. And before we jump into today's episode, I just want to take a moment to thank y'all from the bottom of our hearts. Your love and prayers and messages during this time of grieving Woody's daddy have meant everything to our family. I mean, of course, we're still healing, but your support is helping more than you know. So please, please continue to keep us in your prayers. Woody will be back as soon as he can. And in the meantime, you've got me, but I promise you he'll be back. Just stick around, I promise. But also don't forget that we are still fighting for justice for Haley, and your calls and your emails and the shares matter now more than ever. We've got their attention. There's going to be a meeting May 9th in Cobb County. And Miss Barbara sent me the list of the people yesterday. And I mean, it's going to be a room full of some big people. So we're thinking very positively about this meeting, and we're looking forward to hearing the outcome. And just remember that we still have to let them know that we're not going away. They didn't shut us up just by saying we're having a meeting, that we're still going to send our emails and make our phone calls and get their attention. And then we'll take it from there. But also, if you haven't grabbed your tickets for the July 19th live, I think you should, because I think it's going to be, in fact, I know it's going to be an amazing, amazing night. And it's just, I mean, I really cannot describe it. And I've alluded to it. You try to describe it. And Woody, just as good of a storyteller as he is behind the mic, I got goosebumps even thinking of saying this sentence, but he is at least 10 times that when you see him in person. It's just amazing to watch. And I hope to see everybody there. It's going to be a great time, a whole weekend worth of fun. We have the hotel block at Home 2 Suites, and we are going to have some amazing welcome bags. We've got Tangipahoa Parish Tourism Center involved with us. I have a lot of things planned, but they're not solidified. So I don't want to whisper anything that could possibly happen and have it not happen. And I would rather underpromise and overdeliver. But what we do have promised is amazing right now. So our VIP people are getting a full VIP experience, and our general admission people, in my opinion, are getting a great VIP experience. I mean, I just think that it's going to be truly a night to remember. We haven't had a live event in a long time, and I know that as much work that goes into it, it is so well worth it to connect with our community and to connect with new lifers and old lifers and watch y'all reconnect, form new bonds, meet each other face to face. This community is Woody and I's fifth child, and we are so proud of it. And we just look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. But let's dive into today's episode. So to start off today's episode, you might recognize the last name of the person that has contributed this lifer story, and her name is Angela Allen. And now this is P.T. Allen's wife. She is the one responsible for making this law enforcement professional start listening to a law enforcement podcast. And we have so many law enforcement officers that listen because you can relate. It's not like sitting down watching Law and Order, like it's funny. You can relate to some of the stories. It makes you remember, fun times that you had, or maybe not so fun times that you had, but you can relate. And so, Angela, I thank you so much for asking PT to listen to the podcast. PT, I am so glad that you enjoy it, and everyone else that has contributed stories. Mary Templin, our anonymous person, Cheryl Reed. We are so honored that you took the time to share your stories. I am so grateful because your stories, as I said, have allowed me to focus on not actually producing content, but just edit and produce that content. So I wasn't actually having to sit behind the mic. I just took that audio and did what I do on the back end and, pushed it out to y'all. So I hope y'all have enjoyed those stories. I think Angela's story today is amazing. So without further ado, here is Angela's story.
Hello, this is Angela Allen. I am P.T. Allen's wife, and I am not the storyteller that he is. But I do have a story for you. So this was first of all, I'm a mother of four, a single mother of four. I have 4 children, 1 son and 3 daughters. At this time, I had my son at home with me. My oldest daughter had already moved out, and I had my 2 younger children that were girls, and they were 3rd grade and 5th grade. So I got invited to this party out in the country one night. No, nothing better than a country party, right? So we're on the way there, and I have on a leopard print long dress with matching leopard print high heels. The girls are dressed to a T, like they're going to a tea party. On the way there, I decided, you know what? I don't really care about being around these folks. Let's just go do something different. Well, it's not really different because I did take my girls driving down dirt roads a lot. But on the way to the country, there was a federal game preserve. I thought, you know what? We've been down these roads before. Let's go do this. This will be fun. We used to go out there and just look for deer and other animals. And in a federal game preserve, you cannot kill anything. It is a felony. So anyway, we're just riding around the dirt roads for a little bit, about 20 minutes, and then we're probably going in a circle, and I noticed 2 red eyes on the side of the road. I thought, ooh, that's an alligator. I love me some gator tail. I'm a bulldog fan, and I'll eat gator tail all year round. Well, I thought, I really would like some gator tail for tomorrow night. And this is what my 2 youngest children call, in quotations, chicken nuggets. Because we'd had chicken nuggets quite a bit. Because I ain't scared. So we went out there and, I rode back around that road. And sure enough, he was in the middle of the road. I thought, you know what? I don't want to damage his tail. And I really would like to keep the head for a souvenir. I'll throw it in a big old ant bed, and they will eat the meat off of it. Then I can have the skull to put on my desk as a souvenir. Brilliant thinking. I'm blonde, I'll admit, and I didn't realize that other things in the wild would eat gator meat besides little bitty ants. So I gently roll the Jeep back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over this gator, not to hurt his head or not to hurt his tail. I really didn't care what his body looked like. I wasn't going to eat that part of him. I have a purple Jeep, which was well known in the town we live in because it's a purple Jeep, the only one around, and I have long blonde hair. So I thought, well, I think I've maimed him enough. Let's go ride around for another 20 minutes and see what happens. So we ride around, and I get back to the gator. Sure enough, to my delight, he is in the middle of the road still. I thought, oh, yeah, he's probably done. But just to make sure, I thought, can't shoot him. Somebody will hear the shot. So, what do I have in this Jeep? Oh, I got a tire iron. So I proceeded to beat that gator on that dirt road with a tire iron. Not to mess up his head, not to mess up his tail, but I beat him. And I thought, well, he's pretty much done by now. So I picked him up and I put him in the way back of my Jeep. My 2 girls were sitting in the back seat. But I put him in the way back. Opened the hatch up, threw him in there. Here, we're good to go. But just in case, I left the dome light on of the Jeep. So I ride around another 10 minutes or so. And I thought, you know what? It's probably good to turn the dome light off now. We're good. Well, apparently, to a maimed alligator, or dead alligator, I guess, the sound or my voice saying, turn the dome light off, means come back to life. This gator was trying to do the death roll in the way back of my Jeep. The girls are screaming. I said, open your doors and drop, tuck, and roll, as they did, onto the dirt road. Well, Mama opened her front door, the driver's seat, of course, opened my front door driver's seat, and was hanging on to the door frame with high heels and a long evening gown on. the car was still in drive. So we're rolling down the dirt road. And finally, I managed to put the car in park. As it comes to a screeching halt on a dirt road, I told the girls, stay where you are in the dirt. I go to the way back of the Jeep, and I pull that Gator out. I thought, what else do I have in this Jeep that nobody will hear? I've got a machete, just like all redneck country girls do, where I'm from. So I pulled my machete out from under the seat of that Jeep, and I, first of all, cut the most important part off. I cut his tail off so we could have chicken nuggets the next day. Okay, then I still was determined to have that skeleton skull on my desk, so I cut his head off, threw the body in the woods, also threw the head of the Gator into a big-ass ant bed, thinking I'll come back the next day or a couple days and get that. Well, so we're heading out of the game preserve. Everything's lovely. We get back home, and as I said, my son's not there. He stays late at theater. So I got the girls to bed later on that evening. Before that, I put the Gator tail in the bottom of the refrigerator. Later on, I took my bath and headed to bed. About midnight or so, I hear a knock at my bedroom door. It's my son. He said, Mom? I said, yes, son. He said, I do not want to know how. I do not want to hear the story. I don't want to know why. But I guess we're having, in quotations, chicken nougat tomorrow for dinner, a.k.a. Gator tail. I said, yes, son, we are. Well, P.T. Allen, my husband, if somebody starts to mess with me, or even if they're not messing with me, he'll look at them and say, you don't want to mess with that girl? She'll beat you like a gator on a dirt road. Thank y'all. I love y'all. So sorry for the Overton family. Our prayers and thoughts are with you. Goodbye.
Women, have you ever had one of those days where everything just feels off? Like you're stuck in the middle of a mystery and you can't solve it? Your energy's crashing, your mood's swinging like a suspect in an interrogation room, and no matter what you do, nothing adds up. Well, Cyndi has been there, and sometimes the real culprit is hiding in the shadows, is hormonal imbalance. Here's a twist. More than 1,000 hormone disruptors are living rent-free in our world, lurking in our food, our air, even our skincare. And when hormones go haywire, it can feel like you're trapped in your own personal true crime story, especially during premenopause or menopause. But here's the good news. This is the one case you can crack with Hormone Harmony by Happy Mammoth. All you need to do is take their free 2-minute quiz. You'll answer a few simple questions. Just like that, you'll get a personalized recommendation to help bring your hormones back into balance. No long investigation required. What I love is that Hormone Harmony is made with adaptogens, natural science-backed herbal extracts that help your body adapt to stress and hormonal changes. Whether it's PMS, hot flashes, brain fog, or sleepless nights, this product is designed to help you feel like you again. Over 40,000 glowing reviews don't lie, and neither do the results. 86% of women say they started losing weight. 77% say their mood improved. And the biggest win, 100% say they feel like themselves again. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code RLRC at checkout. That's HAPPYMAMMOTH.com, code RLRC for 15% off today. Did you know there's an online cannabis company that ships federally legal THC right to your door? And they found a way to combine THC with carefully selected functional ingredients to target nearly every mood and health concern you can think of. I'm talking about Mood.com's incredible line of functional gummies. And you can get 20% off your first order at Mood.com with promo code RLRC. Forget one-size-fits-all supplements that only get you high. Mood's functional gummies are optimized to kick in as little as 15 minutes and take you to the mood that you're looking for. Whether that's Mind Magic gummies for deep work and creativity, PMS support to ease cramps and balance mood swings, or their sexual euphoria gummies to help you feel ready for action and turn every touch into a full body experience. Look, y'all, you know I have trouble sleeping. I take the Sleepy Time gummy. I take a quarter of one before I go to sleep, and I sleep hard all night long. Never even move, wake up feeling fresh as a daisy. So listen, you can find gummies to just get you high pretty much anywhere these days. But Mood's functional gummies combine premium federal legal THC with targeted botanicals to help you get into that perfect mood, usually in as little as 15 minutes. And everything ships discreetly right to your door. No dispensary lines, no awkward conversations, just better days and nights delivered to your doorstep. Best of all, not only is every Mood product backed by a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as I mentioned, listeners get 20% off their first order with code RLRC. So head to Mood.com, find the functional gummy that matches exactly what you're looking for, and let Mood help you discover your perfect mood. And don't forget to use promo code RLRC when you check out to save 20% on your first order.
Okay, so what do y'all think of that? Please leave your comments. Like, give her a attaboy on Facebook or in the app. I think it's important that we support each other. And this isn't an easy thing to do, to get behind a mic. And it's certainly not an easy thing to do as a listener, to get behind a mic and submit a story that is going to be heard around the world. So I appreciate your courage in doing that. And I appreciate you taking your time to do it. But let's get out our lightsabers and shine a light on some of the darkest corners of human nature. Because today is May the 4th, and it's Star Wars Day, and may the 4th be with you. So some of y'all probably know you're going to see it today. Your fans all over the world are going to be wearing their Jedi robes and stormtrooper helmets and binging movies and quoting Yoda, and all of that's going to be happening. And a couple years ago, 2 Decembers ago, WL and I went to Disney World, and we did the experience where you build your own lightsaber. And we are a Star Wars family. The boys in the family are LA, when he was younger, had all of the lightsabers. He's also Harry Potter, and he had all the wands too. But lightsabers, there was a time in my home that you couldn't look at a corner of our house without seeing a lightsaber leaning up against that corner. We actually had them hanging on walls, on display. So we are definitely a Star Wars family, and it's, they play the game on the PS5. I remember for so many years, we'd wake up Christmas morning, and one of the things that Santa would have brought would have been the newest Star Wars release game. And all day long, all I would hear was the noises and all of the different sounds that came from the game, and couldn't get them up from the PS5. And those are just fond memories. But in today's episode, we are taking you beyond the cosplay and the video games and all of that. And we're going to go into the criminal underworld where Star Wars meets true crime. We're going to start off by talking about a heist. And we have a man named Steve Sansweet, and he was born in 1945 in Philadelphia. And he wasn't just any Star Wars fan. He became a legend. He was actually a former Wall Street Journal reporter and Lucasfilm director of fan relations. And Steve ended up converting an old chicken barn in Petaluma, California, into what he named Rancho Obi-Wan. And Rancho Obi-Wan was a sanctuary for Star Wars collectors and lovers. His collection spans over more than 400,000 items. He was actually recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest privately held Star Wars memorabilia collection. But in 2017, Sansui discovered that he was missing over 120 of his treasured items. And they had been stolen, and the estimated value of these 120 items was over $200,000. What made the theft even worse is it was a fellow collector that stole from him. So, you have a friend, you have your collection. LSU fans get this. At headquarters, Woody has some valuable, one-of-a-kind items. And as a collector, when anyone comes in that's either a football fan or also a LSU fan, you're proud to show, oh, this is my collection. And they're like, oh, well, I have this helmet and this so-and-so signed this helmet. And, you want to share and you bond over that. Well, this guy, Carl Edward Cunningham from Marietta, Georgia, was like I said, he was a really good friend of Steve's, and he had gone to visit Rancho Obi-Wan several times between the years of 2015 and 2016. And during those visits, he was quietly stealing rare and valuable items from Steve's collection. And I'm assuming Steve trusted him and would leave him alone with the collection. He probably didn't have, obviously, wouldn't have his alarm system on and all that. So Carl just had free reign to do what he wanted. And what he wanted was to take the collection. And he took some vintage action figures, autographed memorabilia, and some very hard to find collectibles. The crime came to light when another collector noticed something odd. A rare rocket-firing Boba Fett prototype appeared for sale on eBay, and the collector recognized the item from Steve's collection and alerted him. For Steve, this betrayal hit really hard, and he's quoted as saying, "I have known Carl for many years, considered him a good and trusted friend, and played host to him at my house numerous times. I and the staff of Rancho Obi-Wan are devastated that he is the perpetrator of these thefts." So eventually, Cunningham was charged and he pled guilty. And I'm so glad that he pled guilty and he didn't waste anybody's time. And he pled guilty to felony grand theft. Luckily, many of the items that were stolen were recovered, but what wasn't obviously recovered was the emotional damage done. And the emotional damage wasn't only to Steve, it was to the whole Star Wars community. They were shook over this because, as lifers are, they're a close-knit community, and it just was such a huge betrayal. So let's move on to the next story, and then I have another story that kind of goes back to the first story. So now we're going to go to Ashwaubenon High School in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And a student had a harmless idea to celebrate May the 4th, and he dressed up as a Star Wars character. And some reports said that it was a Darth Vader costume. Others say it was a stormtrooper. Either way, the costume included a full black outfit, the cape, and what appeared to be body armor. Not everyone knew that it was a costume, and a concerned parent driving by the school saw what they believed to be a person in tactical body armor walking into the school. So they called the police, and within minutes, law enforcement arrived, and the school was placed on lockdown. So students were evacuated, and a full-scale investigation was underway. And eventually the student was located and he was still in his costume. And the situation was resolved without violence. Of course, he didn't intend to be violent, but it left the school and the community rattled. The student who obviously intended no harm, he was just like, I just wanted to celebrate Star Wars Day. I didn't think it would cause such a big issue. And school officials reminded everyone that while creativity is encouraged, safety is paramount. Now, the school district had to enforce a no costume policy moving forward. And so what began as a fandom celebration became a cautionary tale about perception, fear, and the realities of our times. And I actually kind of have a funny story to tell about that in kind of the same theme. But 2 nights ago, I walk outside. WL and I are taking the trash to the road, and we have a pretty long driveway. So he pulls one can, I pull the other. And as a mom, I look at that as like our time, a little bit of time, just one-on-one, just to chit chat. So when we step outside the door and we're on the side of the garage, I noticed a weird smell. And Woody's not here. He's staying with his mom during this time. And I'm usually really, really, really good about just taking care of things, and I don't bother Woody. Whatever happens, he always says, like, if I'm not there, I know Cindy's going to take care of it. But I think my emotions are on edge and heightened and, whatever. And just all of the emotions that we've been going through kind of messed up my judgment. So I smelled what I thought was an electrical wiring fire, like smoldering something. I knew I smelled something electrical burning. And so I told WL, I said, as we walk down the road, like to the road, and when we get to the road, I want to pay attention to see if we see any smoke. I want to pay attention to see if we smell it still, that type of thing. So as we walked down the road and as we left the garage area, there was no scent and there was no smoke. So we came back up and WL went back into the house, and I started feeling walls all around the garage. And in the back, we have a refrigerator and a freezer and an ice machine. So I'm feeling all of those, the outlets. I'm like getting out the big ladder to get as high up on the wall, like just trying to figure this out, I cut off the electricity to the garage. Like I'm just trying to, problem solve without alerting Woody, without calling the fire department. And finally, the smell wouldn't go away. I walked around the house. I walked around the yard. I walked in our house. Never did I smell it anywhere but in and around the garage. If you're looking at our garage to our right, we have a steep, I would call it a cliff. It's not it probably drops 12 to 15 feet. Probably, I could be wrong, but that's what it seems to be for me. And so I look through there, I get as close to that edge as I can, and I'm breathing in the air and trying to pay attention, and I can't smell anything there. And I go a little bit further up. I go to the whole edge of the property, as far as I could go to this cliff, and nothing. I don't smell the smell. So I call Woody, and I'm like, what is the non-emergency line for 911 or for the sheriff's office, whatever? And he told me, so I called them, and he was like, but be prepared, because in a few minutes you're going to have fire trucks rolling in, and it's going to be 10 cars deep in there. Everybody's going to come to make sure that everything's good. This is just how they do. It's not for us. It's just how they do. It's sure enough, 10 minutes after I call at the most, the first trucks show up. And then, 5 minutes after they show up, another set of trucks show up, and then another set. And they get out, and they're asking me the questions that they need to ask, and they have all their equipment that they're using, the the heat seeker little machine that they use, and they're showing me how it works and how they're going through and they're assessing everything, and they take their time, and they assure me after about 20 minutes in, they assure me that there's nothing there, so that they could find, because the breakers are off. So they're like, we're going to turn the breakers on. They get into the attic that's in the garage. They do it all. They go to the house. They go in. They just do it all. So we cut on the breakers, and they're like, okay, when you turned off the breaker, if it was just a smoldering wire, that would have cut off the juice to it. And that was good that you did that. We're going to cut it back on and see if we see a change in temperature, see anything light up. So they do that. 20 minutes go by. They go around with their machine. Everybody it's whatever. Everybody's looking at everything. So about an hour and a half into it, I really believe there's about 10 vehicles here, and obviously at least that many people. And we're standing all in a circle, and they're telling me nothing's wrong. And they're like, I think your neighbor has a fire going on. And I'm like, I didn't see any smoke. I didn't see a fire. And they're like, sometimes you don't see the fires, especially if someone's burning like what you're smelling. It's not going to present like you would with like leaves or trees, whatever. And they're like, I really believe that's what it is. And I'm like, who's staying with me tonight? I'm blocking my driveway. Y'all are not getting out of here until I know that we're going to be okay. And they're like, you're fine. And so we're going to go. I promise you we're not going to be back here tonight. And then they say, but before we go, I need to get your name and your phone number. And so I'm like, okay, what's your first name? I told them. What's your last, and spelled it. What's your last name? And I told him, and he was like, Overton. And I was like, Overton. And I spelled it. He was like, okay, the way it sounds. Another guy in the circle with us goes, Overton, you have a podcast. And the guy that's getting the information from me says, you have a podcast? And I said, my husband does. The guy said, yeah, Woody's her husband. Woody Overton's her husband. And right, Woody Overton's your husband. I was like, yes. One of the other guys in the circle was like, Woody's your husband? And they go around like, oh my gosh, Woody's her husband. I mean, it's amazing that these people actually listen to the podcast. They're like, real life, real crime. And so then I said, so now are you willing to leave me? And like laughing, but serious. And they said, no, we feel confident. And everything that we've told you, we still feel confident. At the same time, Woody's messaging me like, are you okay? Everything good? And we have a little code word for that. And I did the code, and I back, and I said, do you want to tell Woody what you told me? And he's like, the guy that was getting the information from me was like, I will. And I'm like, I think you can explain it better than me. So he gets on the phone with Woody, and we're kind of like standing in the circle still. And no, he hangs, I don't know, at whatever point. And I said, we made a joke, and we're like, I promise you, we're not going to, they again promised me they weren't going to be back here. And I said, well, we don't want to catch you. And so I don't remember what it was, but we used murder by you, and it was just really funny. But it ended up, I'm assuming, that our neighbor did, in fact, have a fire, went out throughout the night. I still smelled the smell, and I only smelled it in the garage, but I kept feeling the walls, and there was nothing there, and nothing ever ignited, and nothing ever happened from it. So my point of that whole story was that sometimes our perception is skewed out of fear, and, Columbine and all the different school shootings I know is what this parent that passed by saw. And the whole time, the fire department was here. They're volunteers, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming and having patience with me, because I was just like, I don't want to waste your time. I am so sorry. I'm going to be so embarrassed if this turns out to be nothing. And they're like, believe me, we would much rather it be nothing than, be something and have to do the destruction that we would have to do to stop the fire, essentially. And so I was like, I get what you're saying, but I will be so embarrassed and feel so bad for wasting y'all's time if I am just, skewing my perception of things based off of what I was going through emotionally at the time or whatever. I possibly could have done it on a normal day as well, but it was just an experience that I could relate to that story. And I completely get someone wanting to try to keep, a school safe at this time, as I've said. So again, thank you so much to our firemen and all of the support team that came. You really helped Woody feel more at ease that night, knowing that we were safe. And you did help me, but I was still a little scared, I'm going to have to tell you, but I really appreciate your kindness with me. Y'all are all so very pleasant, like just great. And I'll never thank you enough. But now let's get to my third story for the day. And this is going to take the first story kind of full circle. So in November 2024, the force was strong in London, particularly at Prop Store. And if you don't know what Prop Store is, it is a world-renowned film memorabilia auction house. Among the 1,800 items available to the highest bidder, one caught the attention of die-hard fans and collectors worldwide. It was a stormtrooper helmet that was actually used in the original Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, in 1977. And it wasn't a replica. It was the real deal, and they knew it. And it was obviously cinematic history. And its final sale price reflected that. It sold for 325,000 euros, which is roughly $410,000. Collectors have long prized original Star Wars props, and this one was especially rare. Few helmets from the original production survived intact, and fewer still even reached the market. And the winning bidder chose to remain anonymous. And I would too. It's like if you win the lottery, you don't want someone to know that you just won the lottery because, first of all, people are going to come out of the woodworks wanting to borrow money. But then you have all of the scam artists and all of the other people trying to steal your money. So if I had something like that, I wouldn't want to share it either. But while this was a very legal and high-profile sale, it draws attention back to the black market for stolen memorabilia. Some items taken from collections like Rancho Obi-Wan or private estates have resurfaced at auctions, often unknowingly. And so some are legitimate and others are forged in deception, but I know the auction houses go through a major process of evaluating each item and making sure that it's not forged, it's not stolen, but it is not rare to still find items that have been taken at auctions. So if you are a Star Wars fan on top of being a true crime fan, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. May the 4th be with you, but may justice be with us all. And please do not forget to subscribe to Real Life, Real Crime on whatever app you listen to. Please go join our Real Life, Real Crime community app. And if you're a collector, check your shelves.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to or during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
And the wolf is at your door. You're running over there.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked number one in innovation for 10 consecutive years and number two among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.